Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be answering some questions. A lot of questions have been rolling in, and so you guys have been asking me to do a Q&A. I was like, it's a perfect idea, let's do a Q&A. I feel like I haven't done one in a long time, and there's a lot of new questions that you guys are asking me, so I thought that I would go ahead and answer them in this video. So I asked you guys on my Instagram to ask me questions. So there's a lot. I cannot answer all of them, but I will answer as many, or the most popular questions. And yeah, you should follow me. Anyways, so I will go ahead and ask the most popular questions. I'm not gonna make this video super long just because, like, I feel like super long Q&As can be boring sometimes. A lot of people want to know, how am I able to travel so much? I think this is the new subscribers I have and new Instagram followers, because I've just talked about this so much. But I'm able to travel because I think there's two answers to this question. The first one being, everybody thinks traveling has to be expensive. It doesn't. Traveling can be the same price as a shopping spree. It just depends on what you do, where you go. When I first started traveling, I had zero money to my name. I just worked. I had a regular job like everybody else. I worked, not like everybody else I guess, but I worked at a donut factory. It was, and I liked that job because I could choose my own hours. You could work as much as you want. I worked like 24-hour shifts sometimes, because it was a job you go in at night. So I'd go in at 6 p.m. and sometimes I wouldn't leave work until about 5 o'clock the next day, or even 6 p.m. the next day, sleep a couple hours, go back and work. And it was just one of those jobs that I would just save all my money. I saved like 100% of my money, and then I went to China with it. But even in China, that money obviously got spent that I had saved, and I was working regular jobs like everybody else. Everybody thinks that you have to be a millionaire to travel. You don't. You can have like $500 and go traveling. It just depends on where, you know what I mean? Like, where? How much is the flight? I can find a flight sometimes from here to China for cheap. It just depends on the year, the time of year. It depends on which hotel I'm staying in. I can stay in a hostel. There's hostels for $10 a night, which I used to stay in when I was a beginning traveler. There's deals you can find. Traveling doesn't have to be as expensive. It's all about priorities. You know, when you see somebody that has a bunch of nice clothes, do you ask them, how do you have money for nice clothes? I mean, that might be a question of yours, but usually they work and they spend their money on that, you know? I choose to spend my money on traveling. But as time has gone on, I do YouTube, and YouTube is how I sustain my travels now. Yeah, so that's how I do it. Okay, so another question is, how did I learn how to speak so many languages, and especially Chinese, because the latest video was a Chinese speaking video. I learned because I was in China, and my sister was a model at the time. She was modeling in Shanghai, China, and I went to visit her and ended up loving China. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. So then I said, you know what, I don't want to go back to the US yet, because it was just going to be I was just going to take a gap year off of school. I was going to school in Boston. I was going to college in Boston. And then I was having like this, I wasn't having a crisis, but it was kind of a crisis, because I was like, I want to be really successful in life, like extremely successful, up here successful in life. And I don't see all the successful people doing this. Like, they're not going to they're not graduating from high school in America, going to college in America, getting a degree, and then becoming successful. Like, that's not what they do. They all have like this crazy life story. They all have like dropped out of college. They all like find their own way. They all have like this incredible life story. I was studying people like Steve Jobs. Like, he dropped out of school, he did things his own way, he had like these crazy life experiences. I want to be a film composer, somebody who writes soundtracks for movies. I still want to be, I still will be. And my heroes are like Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer wrote the soundtracks for like Inception, Interstellar, King Kong. The man is a genius. He's the exact job I want to have. He's a billionaire, and he writes music for movies, and that's how he became a billionaire. But his life story is crazy. He even quit music when he was like 16, and he went on this like life journey of trying to find himself. And he moved to Germany, ended up running into the Beatles. He was keyboarding. He was broke at a time because he broke away from his family. He was jobless for a time. He was doing little side jobs of like keyboarding for like little clubs, and he was traveling the world and met all these incredible people. And that's how he's able to pull such beautiful music out of his brain, because he's been through some crazy things in life. He's seen amazing things. He says to this day, every soundtrack he writes is just something that has happened in his life, something amazing he's experienced, and he's able to pull from that and create this life-changing music that has made him this powerhouse, a billionaire. He wrote the soundtrack for Lion King, but like, he is just, and so I was studying all these people, and I'm like, how the heck am I've only lived in America my whole life. I was 19 at the time, or 18 or 19. I've only lived in America. I'm going to school in Boston. My life is a really successful person if I'm just doing things the regular way. Nobody that I want to be like has done things this way, where they just go to school and boom, get a degree, and now I'm successful. Like, no, like, that's to me. So not moving, I wasn't planning on moving to China, but going to China was gonna kind of be that start for me. I just wanted to see what was out there, and so I go to China and I visit my sister, and I end up falling in love. I had never left the US before. I'd been to Canada, but that's not really traveling for, you know, it didn't feel like, oh, I'm leaving the country of America. It did feel like I left America, but it wasn't a big deal. So it was the first country I'd been to outside of America other than Canada, and I was like so surprised that I liked it. And everything people had told me about foreigners, everything that people had told me about China was not true. So I was like, I want to see what else is not true. I want to see what else has been told to me that's not true. I want to see the world for myself. And that's how I became a traveler. But while I was in China, I was with my sister. She spoke Chinese, which really helped me. And when I was in Shanghai, nobody knew English, so kind of forces your brain to learn. That's how I learned Chinese. It wasn't super hard because it was just me and my sister out there. We were the only people we knew at the time. You know, we created friends and stuff like that, but we were the only two out there by ourselves in Shanghai. And my sister had a full-time job. Modeling was her full-time job, and I would go on little trips by myself around Asia because it was so cheap. I could get flights for dirt cheap around Asia. So when I was traveling the first 2 years, I didn't have any money. It's all priorities. It's priorities. What you prioritize, you will do in life. If you prioritize shoes, then shoes will be what you spend your money on. If you prioritize food, then food will be what you spend all your money on. If you I prioritize travel. So, but I have been very, very, very blessed to be able to turn it into a job. It wasn't a job when I first started for me. It wasn't a job, it was just a passion. But that's the amazing thing I think about social media. You can turn your passions into a job, and it's been amazing to be able to do something I love, which is YouTube, as a job. So yeah, that's like 5 answers in one. How I became a traveler, how I learned Chinese, and traveling not being super expensive. Funny enough, one question is, how expensive is traveling? It can be as expensive as you want. I can go on a trip that costs $20,000. I can also go on a trip that costs me $1,000. It's all about, it's like shopping. It's the same thing as shopping. You can go on a shopping spree and buy Balenciaga, Louis Vuitton, and all these designer things, or you can go shopping at Forever 21. It's the same thing as traveling. same exact thing. It's the same thing as eating. You can go to eat at McDonald's, you're still eating, or you can go to eat at like some 5-star beautiful restaurant on the top of some building somewhere and spend like $4,000 for one meal. It's the same thing as traveling. Traveling does not have to be expensive. Okay. Which Asian countries would you recommend most other than China and Japan? It's hard to recommend. A lot of people ask me for travel recommendations, and that's a really hard question for me to answer because I don't know you. I think traveling is very subjective. For example, a lot of people love the beach when they travel. Like, it's like a very, like, even when you think of the word travel, you might think of beaches and cocktails, or is that what they're called? Cocktails. Or you might think of music and dancing and partying and clubbing and hanging out with people, and I hate that stuff. I hate the beach. One of a kind things people don't do. I mean, I love to do a lot of things. I'm also a daredevil. I want to jump out of planes. I want to go skydiving. I want to do something extremely dangerous and thrilling. I'm adrenaline junkie. I love adrenaline. I want to go on jet skis. I want to, you know, dive, whatever, jump off a cliff somewhere. That's more of what I like. Or like go to some crazy waterfall that's like super dangerous to go to. Like, that is a bit of me. Okay. So I can't recommend things to people. I don't know you. I can't say you're gonna love Thailand. Like, I don't know what you like. You know what I'm saying? But I do like Thailand. I like, you know, you guys know Japan's my favorite country in the world. Yeah, China. I don't know if you'll like China. People always ask me, should I go visit China? I'm like, I really don't know. I don't know if you're gonna like it. I don't know. And then within China's like one of the biggest countries in the world. I don't know. There's so many different things there. Okay, here we go. My hair looks crazy. Okay. So next question. There's a lot of money questions. How much money do you think one can start to travel a lot like you? How much money do you think one can start to travel a lot like you? You don't need a lot of money. You can work at McDonald's and travel with that money. It just depends on, you know what I mean? So, and then like, for example, traveling around Europe is a lot more expensive than traveling around Asia, hands down. So it's like where you decide to go, and then it's like what you decide to do. When you travel, what do you like to do, you know? Everybody's different. Some people don't like to do anything. They just want to sit on the beach every day. That wouldn't be expensive because you're not doing anything. You're just sitting on the beach. The only thing you're paying for is your hotel and your flight and your return flight. But some people, they like to, and food. Some people want to do stuff. They want to go on tours. They want to visit museums. They want to shop. They want to, you know what I mean? So like, all this stuff is so subjective. I can't really give straight off answers. But I would say that the traveling I do now is pretty expensive. But to be quite honest, the traveling I do now is quite expensive, but it's also my job. So all the money, it's a great job to have because all the amount I pay, I get back. You get what I'm saying? It's like a cycle. I'm spending money on traveling, but I'm making more money because it's my job. So, yeah. And I've traveled so much at this point. I have very discounted hotels, very discounted flights because I've spent so much money on hotels and flights. So I had to work to get to that point. So for me now, traveling is quite inexpensive just because I've gotten myself to that point. I've spent so much money on traveling. It's now cheap for me. My miles, my hotels, I'm a triple gold member in Expedia and Booking. Sometimes I even get free hotels or free food at a restaurant, or free in exchange for, you know, promotion. Like, so it's my job now. So, but it's taken a while for me to get to this point because of YouTube You know, like for example, like if you're a beauty guru, you do beauty videos, like makeup videos, and you've been able to make a career out of it on YouTube, you usually don't spend that much money anymore on makeup because you get it all for free. You'll get free makeup in the mail all the time. You'll, you know, get sent makeup. You usually don't have to spend that much because of your job. You get what I'm saying? Or even if you do spend money on makeup as a beauty guru, you're only making that back when you make a video. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, it's a bit different for me because it's my job now. But so I don't spend that much money on travel, which feels amazing. I'll forever, for the rest of my life, probably have very cheap travels and or free because of the point I've gotten to. I've spent over $50,000 on hotels. I've spent over $40,000 on, no, I've spent over $50,000 on flights. So now I have so many points built up that I don't really have to spend any money. I spend money on the stuff I want to now. Get what I'm saying? Because I think I was very smart on the business aspect of it. Yeah. At first, a lot of my family was skeptical and they were like, "You're wasting all your money." But I was like, "I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing." They're like, "You're wasting a lot of your money on traveling," and they didn't think maybe at first it was a good idea. But I've been able to flip and change traveling into a job now, which is a blessing. Oh, okay. Do you know you have a lot of subscribers in Namibia? Will you ever come here? Of course I will come to Namibia, and I can't wait. I was gonna go there last year, but I didn't have enough money. The visa for an American is $100 or $150. And then I was with my brother, so I would have had to spend like $300 just on our visa. And on our flight, any flights to Namibia are super expensive, so it was just too much for me to handle. So last year, but this year, no, not last year, that was 2 years ago. Years go by so fast. 2 years ago I was gonna go. I'm gonna go this year though. Whew. How to stay safe when there is a language barrier? I don't really mind language barriers. Some people I've seen travelers have literal panic attacks over anything. Maybe it's a language barrier and they have like a mental breakdown because they can't communicate with anybody. Maybe there's some issue they can't figure out. Maybe they are lost. Maybe there's issues I have seen other travelers have nervous breakdowns over, freak out over, not feel safe over. I'm not one of those people. I'm so relaxed. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm a very relaxed person. I'm never like super scared about anything. Like, so language barriers would not be something that would make me feel unsafe. There has been language barriers, like when I was in Lithuania and Belarus, I couldn't talk to anybody. Nobody knew English. It was so confusing. Not even a lot of foreigners don't go to Lithuania. A lot of foreigners don't go to those countries. And I remember I was on a bus ride and I was vlogging this, and the bus broke down, and then a lot of people started going crazy and they were all speaking a language I didn't know, and there was no internet. I didn't have any service on my phone, and me and my brother were just sitting there like, what do we do now? But me and my brother aren't panickers, and I always know God protects me and he takes care of everything, and everything is always going to be all right. So that's how I always look at everything. But I know I can't just tell people to be that way. I can't just tell you everything's gonna be all right, because I don't know. I know for me everything's gonna be all right because I trust in God. But maybe you don't. Maybe you have different beliefs. Maybe, I don't know. I can't really tell people to be like me. I'm just not a worrier. I always know everything's gonna be all right for me because I believe God protects me. And I love thrill. Like I said, I love adrenaline. When I was younger, I used to close my eyes. I don't do this. This is a terrible thing. But my mom has a lot of kids. So my mom used to be a single mother. So she would take us out, all of us at once by herself. And let's say she took us to a crowded mall. I would let go of my mom's hand and then I'd do this. I'd close my eyes. I was a terrible child, okay? And I'd put my hands over my eyes. and I would run, like I run with my eyes closed around so that I would lose my family, because I wanted to feel lost. One, I wanted to create panic. Two, I love the thrill of, oh my gosh, I'm a kid, I'm lost, nobody knows where I am. I was a crazy child, but I'm still that type of, I'm still that same girl, but I'm just more refined. Now I'm crazy. I want thrill, I want excitement. I don't necessarily do things that'll get me in trouble like that. I would drive my mom up the wall. But I would do things like that all the time, and I'm, you know, refined now. I'm, you know, better, but I'm still that same thing inside of me is still there. I love excitement, I love adrenaline, I love thrill, I love nobody knows who I am. I'm the only foreigner. There's a language barrier. There's not often a language barrier though, because I know how to communicate in a lot of different languages, but I love excitement, thrill, danger. I want to jump out of planes. I love when there's like turbulence and everybody's afraid. Like those are the moments that, like, I'm just one of those girls. You know, I'm sure you know people like that. Like daredevils. Just if somebody says don't do something, Maryjane Byarm will do it. I've always been that way. And it's who I am. So that's just the best way to describe like how I am. So a lot of people are asking for hair and skin advice, even though I asked you to ask me for travel questions. But don't worry, I'm doing a lot of hair and skin videos this month. I'm talking about hair because I still get a ton of questions about that. And skin, I'm going to be doing those videos soon, don't worry, beauty videos. I'm still a bit jet lagged. I'm in America right now, so you can see these bags. See these bags? I'm still jet lagged, but it's getting there. Such a drastic time difference. So, and something I'm going to do this year is I'm going to stop saying I'm going to do this. I'm stopping doing that. I'd rather just do things, because sometimes my plans change and then people like get really upset. Like, you said you were coming to this country in this month. You're not here. Why did you lie? Like, things change, plans change, things happen. I am going to go to every single country in the world. That is the goal. So if you're wondering if I'm going to a certain country, the answer is yes. It's just when I happen to get around to it. I'm very excited to show you guys where I'm traveling next month. It's going to be absolutely insane, and I'm excited. So yeah, if you're new to my channel, thank you so much for subscribing and joining this crazy lifestyle. But yeah, I'm very excited for this year, and I have been getting a lot of messages recently from like really awesome people. So if you've DM'd me and talked to me on Instagram recently, I really appreciate it. I see your messages. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love being an Instagram YouTuber, because like you just get to meet the most insane, coolest people from all over the world and create like, you know, digital connections that can, I guess, become real connections. But it's just cool. It's a cool thing. So I've been seeing all your messages. I really love and appreciate that, all the things you guys have been saying, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Yeah, and if you have any other questions, leave them down below. I'll get back to you, and I'll see you in my next one.